They say loyalty is everything in the Korean Mafia. But what happens when the man who built an empire on blood and honor discovers that the one person he trusted most has been living a lie? What would you do if the person sleeping beside you every night was your greatest enemy? Marcus Kim ruled Seoul's underworld with an iron fist, feared by rivals, respected by allies, untouchable. But the Korean Mafia's most ruthless enforcer had one weakness: his wife. Beautiful, American, black, and a spy sent to destroy him. They say love and loyalty are everything in the Mafia, but when Marcus discovers his marriage is a lie and his empire is crumbling from within, Seoul will run red with the price of betrayal. This is the story of how love became the deadliest weapon of all, and how betrayal doesn't always come from your enemies. Welcome to the Silk and Steel Diary, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Welcome to part 2. If you're just finding this video, stop. Go back and watch part 1 first. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. You need the full context, or nothing that happens next will hit the way it should. For everyone who's been waiting since yesterday, welcome back. You showed up. You subscribed. You turned on notifications. And now you're about to get the answers you've been waiting for. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're darker than you expected. 30-second recap for those who need it. Marcus Kim, Seoul's most feared mafia enforcer, discovered that his wife Simone was a spy. For 5 years, she'd been feeding his secrets to rival gangs, getting his men killed. His trusted brother, Han Seo-jun, was the mastermind behind it all. The rival Songkal clan, using Simone's intelligence, planned to massacre the entire Shangryang leadership at their anniversary gathering. But Marcus knew. He set a trap, turned the tables, and part 1 ended with Simone arrested in front of the entire clan, the Songkal forces surrounding the mountain compound, ready to attack, and Marcus Kim standing in the center of it all, ready to unleash hell. That's where we pick up, right now, the reckoning. What you're about to witness is brutal. The betrayers will face justice, blood will be spilled, massive secrets will be revealed, and Marcus Kim will make choices that will destroy him from the inside out. But here's your warning, and I mean this. This story doesn't end the way you want it to. This isn't a Marvel movie. This isn't a fairy tale. This is what really happens when love, betrayal, and the mafia collide. There are no clean heroes here, no simple villains, just broken people trapped in impossible situations, making choices that will haunt them forever. One more thing before we start. If you're enjoying this story, do me a favor, hit that like button right now. It takes half a second and it massively helps the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? More stories like this are coming, and you don't want to miss them. All right, no more delays. You've waited long enough. This is part 2 of Blood Debts and Broken Vows, the Seoul Betrayal. Let's finish this. We pick up exactly where we left off, in the courtyard as gunfire erupts and Marcus's trap springs shut. Now to the unmasking.
The Great Hall had been transformed into a courtroom. No, Marcus thought grimly, an execution chamber. The traitors were lined up at the front, Han Seo-jun and 3 other corrupt lieutenants on one side, Simone on the other, all of them bound, all of them finally understanding that their plot had failed catastrophically. Behind them, Jae-sung's men had brought in a special prisoner, Park Min-jun, captured during the failed assault. The Sangkal underboss was bloodied and beaten, but alive. Barely. Boss Kang sat in his chair like a king presiding over his court, the entire clan assembled to witness justice. The message was clear. This is what happens to those who betray the Cheongryang. Marcus, Kang said, gesturing forward, present the evidence. Marcus stepped forward, his voice cold and clear as he laid out the conspiracy. He showed the surveillance photos, the intercepted communications, the bank records. He explained how Han Sao-jun had recruited Simone 5 years ago, planted her in Marcus's path in Los Angeles, used her to infiltrate the inner circle. "She was a weapon," Marcus said, his eyes never leaving Simone's tear-stained face, pointed directly at my heart. "It wasn't supposed to be like this," Simone cried out. "I didn't want anyone to die. I just wanted to be free." "Free?" Marcus's laugh was bitter. "You were free. I gave you everything. But it wasn't enough, was it? You wanted more. Power, status, a place at the head of a criminal empire." He turned to Han Sao-jun. "And you, my brother, we fought together, bled together. I trusted you with my life." Han's face was defiant even in defeat. "You were always the Oyaban's favorite. No matter how hard I worked, how loyal I was, it was always Marcus this, Marcus that. I deserved more." "You deserved nothing," Boss Kang said quietly, but his voice carried absolute authority. "Loyalty cannot be demanded or deserved. It must be given freely, earned through honor. You had no honor, Han Sao-jun, and now you have nothing." The Oyaban turned to Park Min-jun. "And you, the Sang-Kal thought they could destroy us using our own man and his corrupted wife. How does it feel to know you've lost not just the battle, but your entire organization?" Min-jun spat blood. "We're not done. The Sang-Kal no longer exist," Kang interrupted. "While your forces were dying in our trap, my men were simultaneously hitting every Sang-Kal stronghold in Seoul. Your leadership is dead or captured. Your territory is being absorbed as we speak. By dawn, the Sang-Kal clan will be a memory." The implications crashed over Min-jun's face. Total annihilation. This was never just about stopping an attack. This was about eliminating a rival completely, and we couldn't have done it without your plan leading us directly to all your key positions. He nodded to Marcus. "Which is why I allowed this conspiracy to progress as far as it did." Marcus felt the ground shift beneath his feet. "Oyaban?" Kang's smile was almost gentle. "Did you think I didn't know about Han's betrayal, about your wife? I've known for months, Marcus. I was waiting to see how it would play out, waiting for the right moment to use their own trap against them." "You knew?" Marcus's voice was hollow. "You knew what Simone was doing to me and you said nothing." "I said nothing because I needed you sharp, focused, genuine in your role. If you'd been acting, they would have sensed it. Your pain, your investigation, your anger, it was all real, and that made you perfect for this operation." Kang stood and walked to Marcus. "I'm sorry I couldn't spare you that pain. But you understand necessity, don't you? You understand sacrifice for the greater good." Marcus did understand. It didn't make it hurt less, but he understood. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. "Now," Kang looked at the assembled traitors. "Now we follow the code." The sentence for betrayal was death. Always had been, always would be.
But Simone interrupted, her voice desperate. "Wait, please. I have information. I can tell you things about other operations, other clans, anything you want. Just please don't kill me." "Information?" Kang raised an eyebrow. "What could you possibly tell me that I don't already know?" "The Americans, the FBI has an investigation into Korean organized crime in LA. I can tell you who their informants are, when they're planning raids. I still have contacts there." For a moment, there was silence. Then Kang laughed, a genuine sound of amusement. "My dear," he said to Simone, "do you really think your information is worth more than the message your death will send? You betrayed one of my best men. You caused the deaths of loyal soldiers. Your value as a source of intelligence could never outweigh the damage you've done to this organization's honor." He turned to Marcus. "The code is clear. But this is your betrayal, your pain. You should be the one to dispense justice. How do you want to proceed?" All eyes turned to Marcus. This was the moment, his chance for revenge, for retribution. The code demanded blood. He looked at Simone, really looked at her, and saw not the woman he'd loved, but a stranger, a skilled actress who'd played her role for 5 years, who'd lain beside him night after night while planning his death. "I want them all to face the code," Marcus said firmly, starting with Han Se-jun and Park Min-jun. As for the other lieutenants, he paused, considering, they followed orders, life imprisonment in the clan's holding facilities. Kang nodded approval. "And your wife?" This was it, the moment that would define who Marcus truly was. "Exile," he said finally. "Strip her of everything, every dollar, every possession, every connection. Put her on a plane to America with nothing but the clothes on her back. Let her live with what she's done. Let her know that her great plan ended with her having less than nothing." Simone's eyes went wide with shock. "Marcus, thank you. I'm not done," he cut her off coldly. "Before she goes, I want everyone to know exactly who and what she is. I want her face and her betrayal spread throughout every organization in Seoul, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Los Angeles. I want her marked as a traitor so that nowhere in our world will ever be safe for her again. And if she ever returns to Korea, if she ever contacts anyone in this organization," he let the threat hang in the air. "A fate worse than death," Kang observed. "Clever. She'll spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder, knowing that one mistake means the end." It was cruel. It was calculated. It was perfect revenge. "No!" Simone screamed. "Just kill me! Marcus, please, just kill me! Don't do this!" But Marcus had already turned his back on her. He was done. The sentences were carried out that night in the traditional way. Han Se-jun and Park Min-jun were executed. The corrupt lieutenants were taken to the holding facilities. And Simone... Marcus watched from the window as they loaded her into a car that would take her to the airport. She was screaming, fighting, begging, but no one listened. Boss Kang appeared beside him. "You showed mercy." "Did I?" Marcus asked quietly. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you showed perfect cruelty. Time will tell." "How did you know I wouldn't just kill her?" "Because despite everything, you loved her, and love, even betrayed love, leaves traces. You needed to prove to yourself that you're better than the animal she tried to reduce you to." Kang placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You are better, Marcus. Never forget that." As the car's taillights disappeared into the Seoul night, Marcus felt empty. Not satisfaction, not relief, just a vast emptiness where his life used to be. "What do I do now, Ayabun?" "Now you heal, you rebuild, and you become the leader I've always known you could be." Kang smiled. "Because I'm retiring, Marcus, and I'm naming you as my successor."
The words should have meant something, should have felt like victory, like vindication. But all Marcus felt was the hollow ache of a man who'd won everything except the one thing that mattered. He'd wanted justice. He'd gotten it. And it had left him more alone than ever. 3 months after the anniversary gathering, Marcus Kim sat in what was now his office, the Oyabun's office. Boss Kang had made good on his promise, stepping down and naming Marcus as the new leader of the Cheong-ryong clan. At 32, he was the youngest Oyabun in the organization's history. It should have felt like triumph. Instead, it felt like ruling over ashes. The Seoul underworld had shifted dramatically. The complete destruction of the Song-kal clan had created a power vacuum that the Cheong-ryong had filled, expanding their territory by nearly 40%. Other organizations had taken note. Challenging the Cheong-ryong was no longer worth the risk. Marcus had become feared in a way that transcended his reputation as an enforcer. Now he was the dragon himself, and Seoul trembled. But power couldn't fill the void in his personal life. Jae-sung entered the office carrying files. He'd been promoted to underboss, Marcus's right hand in this new era. "The weekly reports," Jae-sung said, setting them on the desk. Then, more carefully, "And there's a message from her." Marcus looked up sharply. "Simone?" "Yes, it came through an intermediary in Los Angeles." Jae-sung handed him a sealed envelope. "I had it checked. No threats, no tricks, just a letter." After Jae-sung left, Marcus stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. "Dear Marcus, I don't expect you to read this. I don't deserve that much, but I need to write it anyway, even if you burn it without looking. I'm in Los Angeles, working as a waitress. It's all I can get. Your warning spread far, and no one in any connected business will hire me. I live in a studio apartment in a bad neighborhood. I'm afraid every time I hear footsteps behind me. This is my life now. This is what I deserve. But I need you to know the truth, not because it changes anything, but because even though I lied about loving you, I never lied about the kind of person you are. Han Se-jun approached me 6 years ago. I was broke, desperate, working 3 jobs to survive in LA. My mother was sick. Medical bills were crushing me. He offered me money, a lot of money, to do one job, make you fall in love with me and marry you. At first, it was just acting. I studied you, learned what you liked, became what you needed. The first year was entirely fake, but somewhere around the second year, something changed. You were kind to me in ways I didn't expect, patient. You actually listened when I talked. You made me laugh. I started to care. Not enough to stop the mission, but enough to hate myself for it. By year 3, I wanted to quit. I told Han I couldn't do it anymore. That's when he told me about my mother. He'd been paying her medical bills all along, and if I stopped cooperating, he'd stop the payments, and she'd die. He had me trapped. So I kept playing the role. But Marcus, those moments when it was just us, late at night, talking about nothing important, those were real for me. My feelings became real, just not real enough to save either of us. I betrayed you because I'm a coward, because I couldn't find the courage to tell you the truth and ask for help, because I convinced myself that you were too much a part of that dark world to ever really understand or forgive me. I was wrong about so many things. You gave me mercy when I deserved death. You gave me a chance to live, even though that life is barely worth living. I think about you every day. I wonder if you ever think about me, or if you've erased me completely from your memory. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know that somewhere in all the lies, there were moments of truth. And I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to choose those moments over my fear. Be well, Marcus. You deserved better than me. You deserved better than all of it. Simone. Marcus read the letter 3 times, then set it on his desk and stared out at the Seoul skyline. The truth didn't change anything. She'd still betrayed him, still gotten his men killed, still chosen wrong at every critical moment. But knowing she'd struggled, knowing she'd felt something real, it complicated the simple narrative of pure betrayal. He thought about her trapped in Los Angeles, afraid, alone, barely surviving. Wasn't that enough punishment? Hadn't he already won? But then he thought about the men who died in the Busan warehouse, about the families who'd lost fathers, brothers, sons because of the information she'd provided, about the 5 years of his life that had been a lie. No, she'd gotten mercy she didn't deserve. Anything more would be weakness. Marcus burned the letter and watched it turn to ash. 2 weeks later, another complication arose. Marcus's mother, his Korean mother, who he saw rarely but still respected, called him. "I heard about your wife," she said in Korean, "about the divorce, about her leaving. What happened?" Marcus had given his family the cover story. Irreconcilable differences, she'd moved back to America, it was amicable. The truth would have been too shameful. "We grew apart," he said simply. "You loved her," his mother said. "I saw it when you brought her to meet us. Real love. Did you try to fix it?" "Amma, some things can't be fixed." "Everything can be fixed with forgiveness, my son. Holding grudges only poisons your own heart." After he hung up, those words echoed. Forgiveness. Could he forgive Simone? Should he? The code said no. His position said no. Every rational part of him said absolutely not. But late at night, alone in his empty penthouse overlooking the Han River, Marcus sometimes found himself wondering what if. What if he'd been a different person? What if she'd had the courage to confess? What if there was a universe where their love had been real enough to overcome everything? These thoughts were dangerous for a man in his position. A crime lord couldn't afford sentimentality. So Marcus buried them deep and focused on building his empire, on being the leader that Cheongryong needed. He took meetings with other organizations, expanded operations into new territories, made decisions that affected thousands of lives. And at night, he went home alone to a penthouse that felt like a tomb. Jae-sung noticed. "Boss, you should get out more. Maybe meet someone new. It's been months." "I'm not interested," Marcus said. "You're turning into a ghost. All work, no life. That's not sustainable." "What life is there for someone like me?" Marcus asked quietly. "Who could I trust after everything?" Jae-sung had no answer for that. The truth was that Simone had broken something fundamental in Marcus. Not just his ability to trust, but his belief that he could have anything beyond the clan. He'd tried to build a normal life, a real marriage, a future that included more than violence and power. And it had all been an illusion. So Marcus accepted his fate. He was the Oyaban, married to the clan, and that would have to be enough. But late one night, 3 months after the letter, Marcus made a decision. He called one of his LA contacts. "I need a favor. There's a woman there, Simone Park. I want you to watch her. Make sure she's safe. If she's in real trouble, help her out. Anonymously. She can never know it comes from me." "Boss, are you sure? Just do it." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. It was just an acknowledgement that despite everything, some small part of him still cared about her survival. And maybe that made him weak. Maybe it made him a fool. But it was all he could give, and all he could bear.
The dragon had learned to live without its heart. 6 months into Marcus's reign as Oyabun, Seoul's underworld had settled into a new equilibrium. The Cheongryong clan was stronger than ever, respected and feared in equal measure. Marcus had proven himself a capable leader, strategic, fair to his own people, merciless to enemies. But internally, he was still fighting battles no one could see. It started with small things, a woman's laugh in a restaurant that sounded like Simone's, making him freeze mid-conversation, a scent of perfume on the street that triggered memories he thought he'd buried, dreams where she was still his wife, still loving him, still real. He told himself it would pass. Time healed all wounds, or so they said. Then came the message that changed everything. Jae-sung rushed into Marcus's office, his face pale. "Boss, we have a situation. It's about your ex-wife." Marcus's blood went cold. "What about her?" "She's disappeared. Our LA contact says she hasn't been seen in 3 weeks. Her apartment was ransacked. There are signs of a struggle." So, she probably just moved. But even as Marcus said it, he knew he didn't believe it. "There's more." Jae-sung handed him a tablet showing security footage from Simone's apartment building. This was taken the night she disappeared. Marcus watched as 2 men forced Simone into a van, professional work, quick and clean, and on one of the men's necks, visible for just a second, a tattoo of twin daggers. "Sungkal," Marcus breathed. "We thought we wiped them out," Jae-sung said, "but there must have been survivors, and they figured out who betrayed their attack." Marcus stood abruptly, his mind racing. She's not in LA. They'd have taken her somewhere they could work on her without interference, somewhere remote. "Boss, what are you thinking?" What was he thinking? That Simone had betrayed him, destroyed his life, deserved whatever happened to her. Or that despite everything, the thought of her being tortured by the remnants of the Sangkal made his blood boil. I'm thinking we find her, Marcus said firmly. Put out word to all our contacts. I want to know every Songcall survivor, every property they might have access to, every person they might turn to for help. Why? Jae-sung asked carefully. Boss, she's your enemy. The code says, traitors to the Chongryong face Chongryong justice, not Songcall justice. She's mine to punish, not theirs. It was a rationalization, and they both knew it. Besides, Marcus continued, if they have her, they'll try to use her to get to us, to me specifically. This is a tactical decision. Jae-sung nodded, though his expression suggested he wasn't buying it. I'll put our best people on it. Over the next week, Marcus became obsessed. He personally reviewed every piece of intelligence, every lead, every whisper about Songcall survivors. The empire he'd built continued to run smoothly, but his attention was divided. Finally, they got a break. A Korean-American gang in Seattle reported unusual activity at an abandoned warehouse they sometimes used. Men with Songcall tattoos, heavily armed, guarding something or someone. Marcus didn't hesitate. I'm going. Boss, it could be a trap, Jae-sung warned. They might want to lure you out. Then let them try. Marcus began preparing weapons, his movements sharp and focused. Assemble a team. We leave tonight. And if we find her, what then? Marcus paused, a gun half-loaded in his hands. What then, indeed? Save her? Let her die? Deliver Chongryong justice himself? We'll see, was all he said. The flight to Seattle was tense. Marcus brought 12 of his best men, all veterans of the Underground War. As they flew over the Pacific, Jae-sung sat beside him. Can I ask you something, boss? And I need you to be honest. Go ahead. Do you still love her? Marcus was silent for a long moment. I don't know what I feel anymore. Anger, betrayal, regret. But when I saw that footage of her being taken, he shook his head. Some things run deeper than logic. Some bonds don't break clean. That sounds like love to me. Then maybe I'm a fool.
Maybe, Jae-sung agreed. But you're our fool, so we'll follow you anyway. They landed in Seattle in the early morning hours and immediately moved on the warehouse. Marcus's contacts in the local Korean community provided vehicles and weapons. By dawn, they were in position, surrounding the building. Through high-powered binoculars, Marcus could see guards, at least 8 visible, probably more inside. They were professional, alert, clearly expecting trouble. How do you want to play this? Jae-sung asked. Marcus studied the building's layout, calculating. A frontal assault would be bloody and might get Simone killed in the crossfire, but they didn't have time for a lengthy siege. We go in hard and fast, he decided. 3 teams. First team creates a diversion at the front. Second team breaches from the east. My team goes through the west entrance. We find her, extract her, eliminate anyone who gets in our way. Just like old times, Jae-sung said with a grim smile. The assault began at 7 a.m. The diversion team opened fire, drawing the guards' attention. In the chaos, Marcus's team cut through the west fence and entered the warehouse. Inside was darkness and echoing silence. Then gunfire erupted, muzzle flashes lighting up the cavernous space. Marcus moved like he had in the old days, fast, precise, lethal. He was an enforcer again, not an oyabun, and the transformation was seamless. They cleared rooms one by one, leaving bodies in their wake. The Songcall survivors fought desperately, but they were outmatched. Marcus's team had better training, better equipment, and something the Songcall didn't have: nothing to lose. Finally, in a back room, Marcus found her. Simone was chained to a chair, her face bruised and swollen, her clothes torn. When she saw him, her eyes went wide with disbelief. Marcus? Her voice was hoarse, barely a whisper. For a moment, he just stood there, taking in the damage. They'd hurt her badly. Rage flooded through him, hot and consuming. Who did this? He asked quietly. Who's in charge here? There's a man, calls himself Kim Tae-won. He was Park Min-jun's brother. He wants revenge for... I know what he wants. Marcus began working on her chains. Where is he? He left yesterday, said he was going to make a video, prove he had me, send it to you. So the trap had already been sprung. Kim Tae-won had what he wanted, Marcus's attention. And now? A slow clap echoed through the warehouse. Marcus spun, gun raised, as a figure emerged from the shadows. Kim Tae-won was younger than his brother had been, maybe 25, with the same cold eyes. He held a detonator in his hand. "Marcus Kim," he said conversationally, "I was hoping you'd come personally, saved me the trouble of hunting you down in Seoul. If you wanted me, you have me. Let her go." "Let her go?" Tae-won laughed. "She's the reason my brother is dead, the reason our entire organization was destroyed. Why would I let that go?" "Your brother died because he was arrogant and sloppy, not because of her." "Maybe, but killing her hurts you, and hurting you is all I have left." Tae-won raised the detonator. "This warehouse is rigged with enough explosives to level the block. We all die here, Marcus. You, me, your men, and the traitorous bitch. At least I get to watch the great Marcus Kim burn before I go." Marcus calculated angles, distances, possibilities. He could shoot Tae-won, but if his thumb left that detonator, they'd all die anyway. Could he talk him down? Unlikely. The man had the glazed look of someone already committed to death. "Before you do this, answer one question. Was this worth it? Throwing your life away for revenge? You could have rebuilt. You could have had a future. Instead, you chose this." "You took everything from me," Tae-won spat. "My brother, my clan, my purpose. What future was there?" "The same future anyone has who chooses to keep living, to adapt, to become something new." Marcus glanced at Simone, still chained but watching with tears streaming down her face. "Revenge doesn't fill the emptiness, it just makes it bigger."
"Touching words from a crime lord," Tae-won sneered. "But I didn't come here for philosophy." His thumb moved on the detonator. What happened next occurred in heartbeats. Marcus fired, his bullet taking Tae-won in the shoulder. The man stumbled, the detonator falling from his grip. Jae-sung lunged forward, catching it before it hit the ground, his hands steady despite the terror in his eyes. Tae-won roared in pain and rage, pulling a knife and charging at Simone. Marcus moved on instinct, putting himself between them. The blade caught him in the side, a burning line of pain, but he didn't stop. His hands found Tae-won's throat, and they went down together in a tangle of violence. It was brutal, primal. Years of anger and betrayal and loss poured into Marcus's hands as he choked the life out of Park Min-jun's brother. Tae-won fought back, the knife coming up again and again, opening more wounds, but Marcus didn't let go. Finally, Tae-won went still. Marcus rolled off him, bleeding from multiple stab wounds, his vision swimming. He heard Simone screaming his name, heard Jae-sung shouting orders, felt hands lifting him. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was Simone's face, tears mixing with blood, her lips forming words he couldn't hear. Then, nothing. Marcus woke in a private hospital room in Seoul. How much time had passed? His body felt heavy, distant, wrapped in pain medication and bandages. "Easy, boss," Jae-sung's voice came from his left. "You've been out for 3 days. The doctor said you lost a lot of blood, but you'll recover fully." Marcus turned his head, wincing at the movement. The room came into focus, expensive, private, filled with flowers from various allied organizations, standard procedure for when a crime lord gets injured. Tae-won? Dead. The warehouse wasn't actually rigged, he was bluffing. We found the detonator was connected to nothing. Jae-sung shook his head. "You risked everything on a bluff. And Simone?" Jae-sung's expression became guarded. "She's here, in Seoul. We brought her back for medical treatment. She was pretty beat up, but nothing permanent." "Where is she?" "Boss, where?"
Safe house on the east side, under guard. Jae-sung leaned forward. Marcus, we need to talk about what happens next. The clan is asking questions. Why did we risk so much to save her? What are your intentions? Some of the lieutenants think you're going soft, that she's manipulating you again. Marcus closed his eyes, exhaustion washing over him. What do you think? I think you jumped in front of a knife for her. I think that means something. It means I'm an idiot. Maybe, or maybe it means you've decided what you really want. Jae-sung stood. She's been asking to see you, every day since we got back. I've been putting her off, but I think you need to talk to her, figure out what this is. After Jae-sung left, Marcus lay in the hospital bed and forced himself to confront the truth he'd been avoiding. He'd flown across the Pacific and nearly died to save a woman who'd betrayed him. That wasn't duty, that wasn't tactics, that was something else entirely. He spent 2 more days in the hospital, recovering, thinking, preparing. Finally, he told Jae-sung to bring Simone to his penthouse, neutral ground, where they could talk without guards or hospitals or the weight of the clan watching. When she arrived, Marcus was standing by the window overlooking the Han River, the same window where he'd watched her driven away to exile 9 months ago. Marcus. Her voice was small, uncertain. He turned. She looked different, thinner, marked by the Sun-Call's brutality, but healing. Her eyes held something new, genuine fear, and something else. Hope? Sit, he said, gesturing to the couch. They sat in silence for a long moment, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on them.
Thank you, Simone finally said, for coming for me, for saving me. I know I didn't deserve. No, you didn't, Marcus cut her off. You didn't deserve any of it. Not my protection, not my men risking their lives, not me taking a knife for you. She flinched, but nodded. I know. So why did I do it? Marcus asked, more to himself than to her. I've been asking myself that question for days. Was it pride? Not wanting the Sang-Khal to claim what's mine? Was it pity? Or was it love? Simone whispered. Marcus laughed bitterly. How can I love someone who destroyed my life, who lied to me for 5 years, who got my men killed? Explain that to me, Simone, because I can't figure it out. Tears were running down her face now. You can't. You shouldn't. Marcus, I don't expect anything from you. I needed you to know that when you came for me, when I saw you standing there in that warehouse, I realized something. All those years I was pretending to love you, somewhere along the way it stopped being pretend, and I was too stupid and too scared to recognize it until it was too late. That's convenient, Marcus said coldly. Now that you've lost everything, now that you're dependent on me for survival, suddenly you discover you love me? You'll forgive me if I'm skeptical. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm not asking for anything. Simone stood, and Marcus could see her trembling. I'll leave Seoul, go back to America, disappear, whatever you want. Just tell me what you need from me to have peace, and I'll do it. Marcus studied her, this woman who'd been his wife, his enemy, his almost widow. What did he need? The truth, he said finally. Your letter said Han Se-jun had you trapped because of your mother's medical bills. Was any of that true? Simone nodded. All of it. She died last year. The one thing keeping me in line with Han, gone. That's when I started trying to find a way out. But by then, I was too deep. Too many secrets, too much dirt on me. And a part of me, she paused, struggling with the words, a part of me had started to believe that maybe I deserved to be punished for what I'd done to you. And the mission, making me fall in love with you, how much of that was real? At first, none of it. I studied you like a role, learned your likes, your patterns, your vulnerabilities. She met his eyes directly. But Marcus, somewhere around year 2, I stopped acting. Those late-night conversations we had, when you'd come home exhausted and just talk to me about your day, about your fears, about the weight of the life you led, those were real.
My responses were real. The woman you fell in love with, she existed. She just existed alongside the spy, and I couldn't reconcile the two until it was too late. Marcus wanted to believe her. God, how he wanted to believe her. But how could he trust anything she said? If I let you stay in Seoul, if I give you another chance, how do I know you won't betray me again? You don't, Simone said simply. You can't. Trust once broken is nearly impossible to rebuild. All I can offer is my word, and I know what that's worth to you now. Nothing. Then why should I even consider it? Because you came for me, Simone said softly. Because you took a knife for me. Because somewhere underneath all the justified anger and betrayal, you still care. Maybe not love, maybe never love again, but something. Marcus turned back to the window, Seoul's lights spreading before him like a galaxy. Behind him, he could feel Simone waiting, barely breathing, her entire future balanced on whatever he said next. He thought about the code, about what it meant to be Oyabun, about the message it would send if he forgave her, took her back.
Then he thought about the alternative, sending her away again, being alone in this penthouse, ruling his empire with no one to share it with, no one who knew the cost of the crown he wore. If you stay, he said slowly, not turning around, it won't be like before. I won't be your husband, you won't be my wife. You'll be... I don't know what you'll be. Someone I'm trying to trust again. Someone earning back what she threw away. I understand. And the clan will hate it. Some will see it as weakness. I'll have to prove myself all over again. Prove that this isn't clouding my judgment. I know. You'll have to prove yourself, too. Every day, every moment. One mistake, one lie, one shadow of betrayal, and you're done. Permanently. I know, Simone whispered. Marcus finally turned to face her. Why? Why go through all that? Why not just disappear and start fresh somewhere else? Simone stepped closer, her eyes never leaving his. Because I spent 5 years lying to you and 1 year running from you, and I'm tired, Marcus. I'm tired of being afraid, tired of being alone, tired of knowing I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me through my own cowardice. She was directly in front of him now, close enough to touch but not touching. I don't know if you can ever forgive me. I don't know if we can ever be what we were, or what I pretended we were, but I want to try. I want to spend whatever time you'll give me proving that the woman you loved wasn't entirely a fiction. Marcus searched her face for deception, for manipulation, for any sign of the spy she'd been. All he saw was a woman laid bare, vulnerable in a way she'd never been before. One chance, he said finally. One. You'll live here, under my watch. You'll meet with a Chongryong psychologist to prove you're being truthful. You'll submit to periodic polygraph tests. You'll have 0 privacy, 0 autonomy, until you've earned them back. And if at any point I decide this isn't working, you'll send me away. I understand. I accept. They stood there in the dimming light, 2 broken people trying to figure out if broken things could ever be made whole. Marcus didn't know if this was wisdom or weakness, redemption or damnation, but for the first time in months, the emptiness inside him felt a little less vast, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough to build on. 3 months later, Seoul was experiencing an early winter, snow dusting the city's neon-lit streets. Marcus stood in the Cheongryong headquarters addressing the full assembly of the clan. This meeting had been inevitable, the questions, the concerns, the need to address the elephant in the room. Simone. She sat in a corner, deliberately inconspicuous, but everyone knew she was there. Everyone had opinions. Some of you have expressed concerns about my decision to allow Simone back into Seoul, Marcus said, his voice carrying absolute authority. You're right to question it.
It appears to contradict everything the code stands for. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. But let me be clear about something, Marcus continued, his eyes sweeping across the assembled lieutenants, soldiers, and enforcers. The code exists to protect the clan, not to dictate my personal life. Simone Park betrayed the Qiangliang. She faced Qiangliang justice. She was exiled, stripped of everything, marked as a traitor throughout our world. That sentence was carried out fully. He paused, letting the words sink in. What happened after, her kidnapping by Sangkal survivors, our rescue operation, my decision to allow her to remain in Seoul under strict supervision, that is separate, that is personal, and unless you believe my personal decisions have compromised clan security or effectiveness, it's not your concern. One of the senior lieutenants, a hard-faced man named Choi, stood. With respect, Oyabun, it appears to compromise you. How can we trust your judgment when it comes to her?
A fair question, Marcus acknowledged. So let me show you. He gestured to Jae-sung, who distributed folders to everyone present. Inside were detailed reports, surveillance logs, polygraph results, psychological evaluations, all documenting Simone's activities over the past 3 months. As you can see, every moment of her life has been documented, every conversation monitored, every interaction recorded. She has had 0 contact with any rival organization, 0 suspicious activities, 0 indication of deception. She's been working at a legitimate art gallery. Yes, the same one where she used to meet her handlers, which I'm now using as a test of her honesty. She's undergone weekly polygraph tests, all of which she's passed. Marcus pulled out his own copy, flipping to a specific page. More importantly, she provided intelligence that led to the capture of 3 more Sangkal survivors, including information about sleeper agents we didn't know existed. She's been an asset, not a liability. But can we trust her? Another lieutenant challenged. She fooled you for 5 years. She did, Marcus agreed, and the admission seemed to surprise everyone, which is why I don't trust her blindly, why every aspect of her life is monitored, why she knows that one mistake means permanent exile or worse. But I also recognize that a skilled asset who has motivation to prove loyalty can be valuable. He looked directly at Simone then, and she met his gaze steadily. She destroyed my trust. She's spending every day trying to rebuild it. Whether she succeeds isn't up for debate in this room. What is up for debate is whether my handling of this situation has weakened the clan. So I'll ask directly, has anyone seen evidence of weakness in our operations? Have we lost territory, failed in our obligations, shown vulnerability to our rivals? Silence. Because the truth was, under Marcus's leadership, the Qiangliang had never been stronger. I didn't think so. So here's what's going to happen. You'll continue to do your jobs. I'll continue to do mine. Simone Park will continue to prove herself or fail in the attempt. And anyone who has a problem with how I run my personal life is welcome to challenge me directly, following clan protocols. It was a veiled invitation to challenge his leadership. No one took it. Good, Marcus concluded. This discussion is closed. Now let's talk about our expansion into the shipping terminals. The meeting continued, business as usual, but Marcus had made his point. He was still in control, still the Oyabun, and his personal choices didn't change that. Later, alone in his office, Simone entered quietly. That was risky, challenging them like that. It needed to be said. We couldn't keep pretending the situation didn't exist. Marcus poured himself a whiskey, offering her one as well. She declined, as she always did, another penance, refusing any comfort. Marcus, I need to tell you something. He tensed. Here it was, the other shoe dropping, the new betrayal. I'm leaving Seoul. What? Simone took a deep breath. Not permanently, but I need to go back to LA for a while. There are things I need to deal with. My mother's estate, some legal issues, closure with my old life.
She met his eyes. "And I need to do it on my own. No guards, no monitoring, no safety net. I need to prove to both of us that I can be trusted even when you're not watching." Marcus studied her. This could be a trick, a way to run, but something in her expression told him it wasn't. "For how long?" "A month, maybe 2. "And you'll come back?" "Yes." No hesitation. "This is where I belong now, with you, earning back what I destroyed for as long as you'll let me try." Marcus walked to the window, the familiar view of Seoul stretching before him. A month ago, he would have said no immediately, would have seen it as the first step toward another betrayal. But 3 months of watching her submit to every humiliation, every test, every restriction without complaint had shown him something. She was genuine in her remorse, genuine in her desire to change. Or she was the best actress he'd ever seen, and he was falling for it again. "Go," he said finally. "But you check in every day. Miss one call and I'll assume the worst." "I will. Every day. I promise." She started to leave, then turned back. "Marcus, thank you for giving me this chance, for not giving up on the possibility that people can change." After she left, Marcus sat alone with his whiskey and his thoughts. Was he a fool? Probably. Was he making a mistake? Maybe. But for the first time in his life, Marcus was choosing hope over cynicism, possibility over certainty. And if that made him weak, so be it. The weeks that followed were strange. The penthouse felt empty again, but differently than before. This time, there was the expectation of return, the daily phone calls that became the highlight of Marcus's evenings. Simone talked about her mother's funeral, small, sad, attended by almost no one, about selling the apartment where she'd been raised, about finally confronting the choices that had led her down this path. "I visited my old college," she said one night. "I had a full scholarship, did you know that? Art history. I was going to be a curator at a museum, but then my mom got sick junior year and I dropped out to take care of her. That's when Han Se-jun found me, young, desperate, drowning in bills. Easy prey." "You could have told me," Marcus said quietly, "about your mother, about the pressure. I would have helped." "I know that now, but then? I was so deep in the lie I couldn't see a way out, and a part of me thought maybe I deserved to drown." These conversations revealed the woman behind the spy, the person Simone might have been if circumstances had been different. Marcus found himself understanding, if not forgiving entirely. 6 weeks into her absence, Marcus received a call from his LA contact, the one he'd assigned to watch over Simone during her original exile. "Boss, thought you should know. There was an incident. 2 men tried to grab her outside her mother's old apartment. Korean, looked professional, but she handled it, used the self-defense training you didn't know she had, got away clean, called the cops. She didn't run, she didn't hide. She stood her ground." "Who were they?" "Not sure. Could be remnant Songkal, could be someone else with a grudge. But boss, she could have used it as an excuse to disappear. Instead, she called me and asked for help identifying them so you'd know the threat existed." After hanging up, Marcus felt something shift in his chest. She'd had an opportunity to run, to use an attack as justification for breaking her promise. Instead, she'd stood her ground and reported it. When Simone returned to Seoul 8 weeks later, something had changed between them. Not trust, exactly. That would take years if it ever fully returned, but a foundation, maybe, a starting point. She moved back into the penthouse, into a separate bedroom. They lived like roommates, cordial but distant, each navigating the strange territory of rebuilding something from ashes. One night, 4 months after her return, they found themselves on the balcony together, looking out at Seoul's glittering expanse. "Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" Simone asked quietly. Marcus considered the question honestly. "I don't know. Some days I think maybe. Other days I remember everything and the anger comes back. But I'm trying. We're both trying. Maybe that's enough." "Is it?" She turned to look at him. "Enough for what? To coexist?
To eventually be friends? Or, I don't know that either, admitted Marcus. I loved you once, completely. That version of you, of us, is dead. But maybe we can build something new, something real this time. No guarantees, no promises beyond trying. Simone nodded, accepting the honesty even as tears gathered in her eyes. I can work with that. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. The call came 3 days later. Boss Kang, the retired Oyabun, had been found dead in his home. Apparent heart attack, but the circumstances were suspicious.
And in his final message, left with his lawyer, was a warning. Tell Marcus, the game is bigger than he knows. Trust no one, not even those closest to him. The real enemy has been waiting all along. Marcus stared at the message, ice forming in his veins. Not even those closest to him. He looked across the room at Simone, who was reading quietly, unaware of the message. Was Kang warning him about her, or someone else? The nightmare wasn't over. It was just beginning, and this time, Marcus wasn't sure who the enemy really was. 6 months after Kang's death, Marcus Kim stood in a cemetery outside Seoul, rain soaking through his expensive suit. They'd investigated the former Oyabun's death thoroughly. No poison, no foul play that could be proven, just an old man's heart giving out. But the message haunted Marcus. The game is bigger than he knows. Investigations had revealed unsettling truths. Kang had been playing multiple organizations against each other for years, orchestrating conflicts to maintain the Chongryong's dominance. The Songkal War, Han Se-jun's betrayal, even Simone's recruitment. Kang had known about all of it, allowed it, used it. Marcus had been a chess piece in a game he'd never fully understood. "Boss, we should go," Jae-sung said quietly. "The others are waiting." Marcus took one last look at Kang's grave. The old man had given him everything: power, position, purpose, and in doing so had taken everything: peace, trust, the ability to believe in anything pure. Back at the penthouse, Simone was waiting. Over the months, they'd grown closer, carefully rebuilding something that resembled a relationship. Not marriage, that word carried too much poison, but partnership, maybe. Companionship. "How was it?" Simone asked. "Final," Marcus said simply. They sat together in comfortable silence, two damaged people finding solace in shared brokenness. Simone had proven herself again and again, had passed every test, had become genuinely useful to the clan. Some days, Marcus thought he might even love her again, differently than before, more carefully. Other days, he wondered if he was being played one more time, if this was just another long con. He'd never know for certain. That was his punishment, to live with permanent uncertainty, to always wonder if the woman beside him was real or another beautiful lie. The doorbell rang. A courier with a package, no return address. Inside was a burner phone and a note in handwriting Marcus recognized, Han Se-jun's. But Han was dead. Marcus had watched them bury the traitor's body. With trembling hands, he powered on the phone. One video file, dated 2 weeks before Han's execution. Han's face filled the screen, smiling that same confident smile. "Hello, Marcus. If you're watching this, I'm dead, and you think you've won. But I need you to understand something. Everything, the Songkal War, the betrayal, even Simone, was part of a larger plan. Kang Kong's plan, yes, but not the way you think." The video cut to footage Marcus had never seen. Kang meeting with Han in secret years ago. Their conversation was damning. "The Americans are investigating us," Kang said on the video. "We need a sacrificial lamb, someone high-ranking enough to satisfy them, but not crucial to operations. I'm thinking of you, Han." "You want me to play the traitor? I want you to be the traitor. Recruit someone, make it real, let Marcus discover it. He'll destroy you, destroy the Sangkal threat, and the Americans will think we've cleaned house. Meanwhile, our real operations continue untouched. And if Marcus kills me, then you'll have served the clan one final time. Your family will be taken care of, I promise." The video cut back to Han, speaking directly to the camera. So, you see, Marcus, I wasn't the villain. I was the sacrifice. And Simone, she was collateral damage, a pawn neither of us cared about. But here's the thing. Han leaned closer, his smile widening. I didn't die in that execution. Check the body again. You'll find it was a homeless man with my tattoos, my dental work, all planted. I'm alive, Marcus. Somewhere you'll never find me. And I'm watching, always watching. The video ended. Marcus at frozen, the phone slipping from his hands. Everything he knew was wrong. Everything he'd fought for, killed for, was built on lies within lies within lies. He looked at Simone, who'd heard everything, her face pale with shock. "Did you know?" he asked hoarsely. "Did you know any of this?" "No," she whispered. "Marcus, I swear, I had no idea. Han told me we were destroying the Changryong, not serving it. I thought—" "I don't know what to believe anymore," Marcus roared, standing abruptly. "I don't know what's real, who's lying, who's using me." Jae-sung burst into the room, gun drawn, alerted by the shouting. "Boss, what's happening?" Marcus pointed at the phone. "Play it, watch it, then tell me what's real." As Jae-sung watched the video, his face went through the same journey Marcus's had. Disbelief, shock, rage, despair. "What do we do?" Jae-sung asked when it finished. "What did they do? How did you fight an enemy when you couldn't tell who the enemy was, when every ally might be a plant, every truth might be a lie?" Marcus walked to the window one last time, Seoul sprawling beneath him, his empire, his prison. He'd wanted power, he'd wanted revenge, he'd wanted justice. He'd gotten all three, and they'd destroyed him. "We do what we've always done," Marcus said finally, his voice empty of emotion. "We survive, we adapt, we trust no one completely, not even each other." He looked at Simone, this woman who might love him or might be playing the longest con of all. At Jae-sung, his loyal friend who might be the next betrayer waiting to be revealed. The Korean Mafia doesn't believe in happy endings. We believe in survival, power, and the understanding that every victory costs a piece of your soul. I've won everything and lost everything, and I'll wake up tomorrow and do it all again, because that's what Oyabuns do. "And us?" Simone asked quietly. "What happens to us?" Marcus smiled, and it was the saddest thing Simone had ever seen. "We keep pretending we know what's real. We keep going through the motions, and we wait for the next betrayal, the next revelation, the next knife in the back. Because in this world, that's all there is. Endless cycles of violence and deception until one day we end up like Kang, dead in the ground with our secrets." He turned away from both of them, dismissing them with the gesture. Alone in the penthouse that night, Marcus poured a whiskey and stared at his reflection in the window. Seoul's lights were beautiful, always beautiful, hiding the rot beneath.
He'd lost Simone twice, once to betrayal, once to uncertainty. He'd lost his mentor to manipulation. He'd lost his brothers to treachery. He'd lost himself to the game. And the worst part? He couldn't even quit. Couldn't walk away, because this life, this violent, paranoid, hollow existence, was all he knew, all he'd ever be. The dragon had won his empire. But empires, Marcus now understood, were just bigger, more elegant prisons. And he would rule his cage until the day someone put him in the ground, never knowing what was real, never trusting anyone, never finding peace. That was his ending. Not happy, not tragic, just empty. Just survival. The phone buzzed. A new message from the burner. "Checkmate, brother. Your move." Marcus deleted it without responding. Let Han watch. Let them all watch. He'd play this game until it killed him, because in the end, what choice did any of them have? The Mafia never really ends. It just keeps consuming, keeps destroying, keeps grinding everything beautiful into dust. And Marcus Kim would be ground up along with the rest.
a cautionary tale about the price of power and the cost of love in a world where neither could survive intact. He raised his glass to his reflection, a toast to the life he'd chosen, the life that had chosen him. To survival, he whispered to the empty room. Outside, Seoul glittered on, indifferent to one more broken soul among millions. The end. The end. Sometimes the price of revenge is paid in pieces of yourself you can never get back. Sometimes winning means losing everything that matters. And sometimes there are no happy endings, only the endless, grinding machinery of consequences, turning everyone into victims of their own choices.